Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day because we have a great show planned for you. And of course, before we go any further, we need to give a shout out to, of course, Valentine's Day. Everyone, I hope you have someone that you are going to do something very special with, and overall, it's going to be a very lovely day. Or for everyone else, happy Singles Awareness Month. And everyone, hey, regardless, if you, whether or not you have someone, hey, you have us here at Computer America. So today on the show, we have something really special lined up for you where we are going to be talking to a company that makes a number of different devices, including a live GPS tracker and a health monitor. Now, these are obviously technologies that you are starting to find in a lot more tech. And, to have a company on that makes some of the underlying devices, this is going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. So we'll introduce them in just a moment. But before we do, let's see, first things first, check out computeramerica.com. That is our website. It will have a link to anything that we talk about here on the show today, be that a link to our guest website, any products, any videos that we show, anything and everything will be at our website. Also, be sure to check out the live video stream, which you can also find at twitch.tv/computeramerica. And last but not least, be sure to stick around for the second part of the show as we will be doing computer and technology news, and we have a lot of great articles. And just to tease one of them, we of course will be going over the final words of the Mars Curiosity rover, I believe. And final words, I mean last transmission. So everyone, it's going to be a fun show. Don't worry about it. And in the meantime, why don't we go ahead and get started with our guest? And as I said before, our guests, they make a bunch of different devices, and they do it very, very well. Happy to have them on the show. So joining us today is none other than, let me get this correct, none other than Natalia Stelmakh, and she is the founder and CEO of GotYu. And Natalia, thank you for coming on Computer America.
Hi, Ben. Thank you so much for having us, and happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And we hope that you show some love to your pets with some of the devices that we make.
That's very, very true. And pets, I mean, I don't know about yourself, but I know here, just myself and my family, I have 2 dogs. My parents have 2 dogs. And we're just a dog-centric household. And I to put a little personal spin on this, I will say that about a week ago, one of our dogs actually got out of the house, and we live up on a mountain. So it's, she had a 50-50 chance of either coming home or becoming a wolf or something like that. But luckily we got her, but we did not have a GPS device attached to her whatsoever. We had her chipped, and we're going to talk about the difference, between having a dog chipped and having them tracked with a GPS tracker. But I got to say, from a pet owner's perspective, there's really few things as terrifying as your dog getting out and just not knowing where they are. So let's get a little bit of background. Was this company personal for you, or was this something that you said, my background in tech lends me to this? Why did you decide to start GotYu?
Yes, so we started GotYu a little bit more over 2 years ago. And actually it started not because of pets, but I have a very expensive camera and I live in New York. So I would always get scared that someone would grab the camera and run off. So I started looking into the solutions that were available on the market to attach to the camera. And that got me to start developing the device because there was nothing like that available with live tracking capability. But then when we started working on it, we saw that actually the market for pets was booming, and the pain point of resolving the situation where pets get lost, just like you mentioned, was much bigger, and people really needed those devices, and that's how it all started. So we started with trying to solve the problem of owners losing their pets wandering away, and then it led to us also including the health monitoring function. So that's how it all started.
Yeah, and we're going to get into health monitoring function as well because, and I, like I said at the beginning, a lot of this tech is actually, starting to be integrated into a lot of different devices, including things like smartwatches and cell phones and and what have you. And because you make these, tracking devices, I wanted to maybe get a little bit of the possibility. But I think with that, we're going to start off with what you have before, and then we're going to get into what you're going to have in the coming months. You have the smallest live GPS tracker, and obviously anyone out there watching the video portion, we have your website up. It's a beautiful website, by the way. It really, really does look good. And you mentioned that it's the smallest live GPS tracker. Tell us the importance of miniaturizing, or having something that is so small, and why that was because maybe things like luggage or something like that, like maybe it matters more for dogs, but was form factor really that big of a factor?
Yes, it was our biggest problem. So to resolve that, the device was very small, because there are big dogs and there are small dogs, and also the solutions that are currently on the market, they're mainly locators. So be careful when you're purchasing a device, either for a pet or for luggage, to track any of your belongings or like pets. Make sure that it's not a locator. A locator basically just sends one location, one signal, but it's a tracker, because when the pet runs away, the pet is moving. So just, one point of location doesn't really help you to find the pet. You need to see where the pet is moving. So make sure that you're actually buying a live tracker, which is capable of tracking the location of the pet in real time. And that's exactly what we've developed. And the problem is with GPS technology is that to be able to send the signal to space in live, and to be able to track the location of the pet, it eats a lot of battery. And there hasn't been any innovation done in the battery space for a long time. And that's why the majority of the devices that are on the market, they are either the locators, as I mentioned, because otherwise they would be very bulky because the battery is big, or they have very short battery life, and they're live trackers. So we worked very hard with very advanced engineers that do GPS navigation for international airports to combine the factors together and to make the smallest live tracking device. And we have the battery life up to 3 weeks. It depends on different modes. So you can set up in different modes to send the location signal, like once half an hour, once an hour, for example, if the pet is at home or within a predefined safety zone, or to have the live tracking if the pet runs away. Yeah, but the miniaturization was our biggest problems that we tried to solve and we tackled. And we actually got nominated for a couple of the awards for being able to make it as small as we could.
Yeah, and of course, you guys displayed out at CES, and you got a lot of attention, and of course, congratulations to that. But that was actually going to be my next question, where obviously miniaturization is good, but then we've seen, we've had other companies on the show that do kind of pet tracking, but like the one that springs to mind, maybe about a year or two ago, we had a company on that they would put a low energy Bluetooth sensor on your dog's collar, and then I think the problem with that company that came on, and don't get me wrong, they put a lot of thought into it, and they really tried hard to make the ecosystem around it, but you needed to be a part, like you need to download the app and you needed to be part of the community. And if your dog ran away, you had to be within 30 feet or whatever the range of low energy Bluetooth is. And it would kind of ping your phone saying, hey, this dog is at this location. And you could either, it would alert the owner, or you could track the dog down yourself, things like that. And low energy Bluetooth lasts a lot longer, but there were, of course, as I mentioned, some inherent problems. why is GPS the right solution as opposed to Bluetooth or, any of these other things? Because GPS, I mean, there are other problems with GPS where do you have to have a cell phone plan, or how does GPS, is there any kind of like subscription plan? How does your service actually work?
Great question, Ben. So, of course, there are several trackers on the market, but as you mentioned, you have to be a part of the community because they do use the Bluetooth technology, which has its limitations. So you can track the dog only within like 100 feet radius, or they use the peer-to-peer technology. So the dog has to be within the radius where a dog from the community is. So they will be able to track your dog. And if the dog runs away outside of those community borders, of course, then there's no way for you to track the dog that has that Bluetooth tracker. We employ two technologies. We do have the Bluetooth, which helps us to save the battery while the dog is within the 100 feet radius. And we do use the GPS, as I said, the locator, just like which sends only one signal when that's necessary. And we do have the live tracking when the GPS sends the signal constantly to space. And you do have to have a cellular plan. But the good news is that when we started developing the technology, the cellular data was much more expensive, and you would look to pay anywhere like $10 a month or so per subscription. But now, as more and more wireless devices become more popular, cellular companies, they understand that they can no longer charge us such high fees, and they have come up with amazing plans, data plans, where you have where you pay like only several dollars a month just to be able to use data. And for example, our GPS device, we use only 1.5 to 2 megabytes of data per month, and that's why we were able to negotiate some very good packages with the cellular data providers. And so you will have to pay only $7.99 per month if you want to use like the full package with the app and all the advanced features, or you could just pay $2.99 per month, and then you just get the cellular data. But yeah, it's getting better, and I expect in the next couple of years it will become even more accessible as more wireless devices come on the market, and cellular data providers. They have more and more plans available.
I really do enjoy the fact that you have an open communication with cell providers, because you're right. I mean, there's going to be a lot of devices coming on the market that that are not phones, that are not computers or tablets or something like that, that don't need that constant data, but they need access to data when it's really important. So it's good that you've had that communication with those companies to, and obviously a pet, very important. But when you start talking about connecting everything from again, pulling from your website, everything from like luggage and seniors, kids, bikes, pets, in your case, cameras, then you start to see that not everyone is going to be able to afford $10 a month for every one of these objects. So, or people, pets, things. Let's talk about some other use cases, and then I think we're going to get into the health monitoring aspects of this. But before we do, obviously we talk about pets. That's great. A lot of people have pets and they want to make sure that they're safe and they know where they are. But like I mentioned, bikes, other personal objects, there's family members, there's Alzheimer's patients. How did you decide that, these were markets that needed your product? Because, it's like you said, you started this as a venture for a camera, and now you're getting into medical tracking equipment and medical equipment. Is this something that your audience said, this would be really helpful for X, or is this something that you did, kind of learned through research?
Ben, what market spoke to us? When we started showcasing our product at more and more events, just people would come by, or people would contact, they call us, they reach out, they email to us. And that's the request that we got. They said like, hey, we are a freight company and we move lots of freight across the oceans. Are there any devices? Do you have any devices that could resolve us, like helping us not to lose our goods that we ship across the oceans? Or, hey, do you have anything for the seniors, for the senior patients, or for the bikes? Bikes is a huge market because there is lots of bikes being stolen in the United States every single year. So the market sort of spoke to us, and we had people reach out, and we understood the directions where we should branch out. And for example, a couple of weeks ago, we were contacted by Vodafone, that they're one of the largest cellular providers, and they're also looking to do an IoT ecosystem to have more and more devices connected. And that's how we started branching out into new directions.
Hey, and of course, listening to your audience, listening to your customers never does steer you wrong. And you can see here that obviously, if you maybe want to have one of these in your kid's backpack when they go to school, or if you want to attach one, maybe have something that your grandparents can slip into their pocket when they leave the house. Obviously, safety is the name of the game. And knowing location, I think that's a very clear use case. A lot of people will understand the value of knowing where someone that they love, something that they love, or something that they need is. But let's talk about the idea of this new health tracker that I think you said you were coming to market with. Introduce us to the idea, because location's one thing, but what are you hoping to do with your next product?
Yes, we're extremely excited. We had amazing interest from large companies, from the veterinarians, from the pet owners. I don't know if many of the people that are listening to us, they have watched the Black Mirror. Have you watched the Black Mirror, Ben?
Yeah, Black Mirror on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's kind of spooky, but at the same time, it really shows what's possible, I guess.
Absolutely. It shows the technology where we are heading, and it inspired us to develop the next generation health monitoring device. And as we started more working with the pet owners, we understood that the security, the knowing of where your pet is very important. But the next level and the next demand from our customers is to be able to track the health of the pets, and so that you enjoy your life with pets, with your pet longer. And there are solutions currently on the market. They are the smart collars, but the problem with smart collars is that all the sensors, they are located outside of the pet. And of course, pets, they have very thick hair, fur, and that's why it's not very, the reading of the sensors is not very accurate. So you cannot really read what is happening inside of the pet, like the vitals. So having watched lots of Black Mirror and understanding that this is where we're all heading in terms of technology, we started developing about 9 or 10 months ago an implant. So this will be the first health monitoring implant that will go inside of the pet in the neck area, just like the chips that are already in the market. But currently the chips, they just track basically your identification. You scan and you get the identification. But we've gone so much further than that. We've included identification, but we've also included the vital sensors. So it will be able to monitor the pulse, the temperature, and ECG of the pet. So this is what we already have done, and it will be coming to market in several months. And the next sensor is the diabetes glucose sensor. So, and this device, the implant, we launched it and presented it at CES in Las Vegas this year, and we had amazing success. And we are now talking to some of the largest pharmaceutical companies and the pet insurance companies, because they understand that this is the next level of how the vitals are going to be measured, first in pets, and of course maybe in 10 or 15 years in us humans. So this is our next device that we'll be coming out with.
So this is so strange, so we talked to you, and you were very open with your communication, so we were able to get you on the show, over the course of about a week in our correspondence behind the show, and I got to say that maybe yes, or maybe exactly 1 week ago, one of our dogs, Jasmine, she's a little silky terrier, was actually diagnosed with canine diabetes. It's crazy that you're now on the show and you have a product and you're going to be working on this, because I've never had really any kind of interaction with canine diabetes, and I gotta say, we are expecting some test strips. We have to do some unsavory things to monitor her blood sugar level. It's just a very stressful situation for the dog altogether, very stressful for us, and being able to monitor that kind of thing, it's so important, because the dog turns into this puddle of just sadness when the vitals aren't correct. And for you to be able to do this, and I have a lot of questions involving maybe the form factor, because we're looking at your website again. The current GotYu kind of GPS tracker is honestly just frankly too big to be implanted inside a dog. The current kind of ID implants that you were talking about, they're very small. They're about the size of a grain of rice. I think they're very manageable. How big are you able to, or how big is the implant that you're hoping to get it to? And, is there any discomfort for the dog? Because again, I'm very interested in this. This could save a lot of people and a lot of dogs, a lot of anguish.
Absolutely. I feel very bad for your puppy. I hope she feels
She's
better.
doing well
but that's
now. She's doing well.
But for your dog, yes. But that's exactly the problem that we are going to resolve, and we are trying to resolve, because if there is something inside of the dog, like an implant which monitors the vitals, you will be able to prevent some of the major illnesses, because you will be able to spot that the temperature is going up or the glucose parameters are off early on, and you will be able to take care of the dog early on. So yes, the size is very small. It's about 15 millimeters in length, and the diameter is like very tiny. It's a little bit larger than the rice that you mentioned, but yeah, it's just the ordinary size of the current microchips available on the market, the RFID. They are implanted with a simple procedure by a simple vet needle. So it's not painful for the dog. It's done with local anesthesia, and it's the new level of the health monitoring for pets.
That is of course very, very cool. And I guess I should also kind of ask you about the power source. How is this thing like? Is your dog going to have double A's now? How long do these things last before they need to be tampered with? Just like an ongoing basis. If you could answer that.
Yes, so that's actually one of our know-hows, which we are applying for a patent, and that all these big companies are excited about, because you cannot put anything inside, anything with a battery inside of a living creature, be it human or a pet. Like, you cannot just put batteries inside. And when we came out with this device on CES, some of the publications, they joked that 2019 will be the year that we will start charging our dogs. So the solution that we came up with is that we are going to charge the sensors inside of the implant with RFID technology. So basically, when you hold any smartphone like 5 or 7 centimeters away from the implant, it gives it power, like 3 or 4 seconds, enough to power and to read and to scan the signals. So that's our biggest know-how. So you don't need to have any battery inside of the pet that you love. You just take any smartphone, you just bring it close to the pet, to the neck area, and within like 3-4 seconds, it gives it power, the magnetic fields to the implant, and it scans the data. The next level is if, for example, your dog is already ill and you need 24/7 monitoring of the vitals, then you will need to wear our GotYu tracker. We made it work so that they work together. Then you will need to wear the GotYu tracker, which will power the implant 24/7.
That's a very cool kind of interplay that you have between your two technologies, and I do like the RFID technology that that you are proposing. Obviously, it's a much better, cleaner solution than, let's say, a dog bed that had to be plugged into the wall. And it's like you have to make sure your dog is crated or sleeping in the bed to charge the device overnight or something like that. So I think you came up with a very elegant solution to this. And I have to ask you, I mean, kind of taking from the Black Mirror thing, and by the way, just the fact that you saw Black Mirror and you weren't freaked out and you said, we got to get working on that. That says something. I don't know what it says, but that says something. But I think that monitoring health and giving healthcare by exception, because obviously, let's say this becomes standard. Let's say every dog in America has to have one of your chips implanted in them, just so that you can monitor the health, and overall, it should bring down, pet care costs, because you're going to be able to know something is happening before it happens, before it becomes an emergency. And like I said, with things like Black Mirror, they've hypothesized this to the next level. Let's take that idea and put it into something that we've mentioned before with your product, elderly care, Alzheimer's patients and other people. I mean, obviously, I've heard of other companies doing this in people and clinical trials. Trust me, it's a lot harder. I know that for a fact. It's a lot harder to get this into people, but it's something that I think a lot of people would benefit from. Are you also looking at taking this for pets? It's a good place to start. But are you hoping to take this into health, just people healthcare?
Absolutely. We know that it's a long road. Just like you said, it will require lots of clinical trials. And that's why now already at this stage, we are trying to partner up with these huge companies, because having them as our partner will help us to shorten and speed up the process. But yeah, absolutely. I think this is where the healthcare is going. And we hope to be one of the pioneers to introduce this technology, first to pets and then, of course, to humans.
So, and now just to get, we have about 5 more minutes here for the interview, to get a, kind of a rounder picture of your product and service here. Some of the other services I mentioned, they have, join our social media group, download our app, that kind of thing. What other parts of your, what other parts of your company are there? Do you have, and I'm not just talking things like social media, which, I'm sure you can go check out, but I'm talking is there an app to download? Is there a web portal where you share it with your doctor? What other parts to your tracking is there?
Absolutely. Our idea is to build a community. And as we are heading more towards collecting not only the safety data for your pet and the tracking of the activity of the pet, but the inside parameters of the pet. So we will be collecting all set of data: location, activity, and inside vitals. And of course, our idea is to build a community with the vets. And we've talked to many vets and they're very excited. So you will go and download our app and you will be able to ask questions, and the vets will be available 24/7. So for vets, of course, it's a way to grow their business. And for pet owners, it's a way to communicate with other pet owners, to share, oh, this is happening with my dog, and upload a picture, what do you think it is, and to also get instant answers from pets. So basically, we're trying to create a community with the pet owners and with the vets, like ZocDoc, where you will be able to also go and see the star rating of the veterinarian and to choose the veterinarian. So this is the direction where we are heading, because nothing like this exists as of yet. And then, of course, you will be able to connect to the pet insurance companies, etc. So this is the direction and the market where we are heading.
Oh, and actually, I just thought of a couple more questions that I might have to keep you, if you don't mind, just a couple more minutes over the break. But one of the questions, and thank you, and one of the questions I wanted to ask you, before we head to break, and I might have to interrupt you, but tracking all this kind of thing, and of course, I think a lot of people can see the implications where if you spend a lot of time with your pet, if you take your pet on walks on a regular basis, giving other people access to your data, your information, your tracking, can be very dangerous. So talk about the security that you have in place when it comes to making sure that only you, your vets, or anyone that you approve, only the people that you want are going to have access to the data that you're collecting with your products.
Yes, all the data is stored on our servers, and also we store some of the data on the cloud. But what we are doing, we have one of the best engineers that use very heavy encryption methods to ensure exactly that the data will not be able, so no one will have the access to the data. But of course, don't worry, this is one of the questions that got raised, and we started working on making sure that the data is encrypted and will not be able to hack early on when we started developing our product.
Perfect. And hey, that's just what we want to hear. And then when I come back, and I want to give you, sufficient time to do this, so we're about to head off into break. So Natalia, if you don't mind, when we come back, we're going to talk about any kind of notable stories. I see here on your website you have a couple testimonials. I wanted to ask you if there were any kind of standouts, stories that you've already experienced from your product, and then I wanted to give you a chance to, let our listeners know where they can go if they want to learn more. So, if you don't mind, Natalia, we're going to be right back.
Sure.
All right, so everyone out there, thank you so much for tuning in to Computer America. And the commercial break starting right about now. Everyone, stay tuned. More Computer America right after this. We'll be right back and more GotYu. Everyone, GotYu.tech. We'll be right back.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. 800-215-4461. That's 800-215-4461.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And everyone, if you missed any part of our conversation so far, I've really had a lot of fun talking to our guests today. And wherever podcasts are heard, simply search Computer America, and we should pop right up, and it will be today's show in its entirety, rebroadcast. And hey, you can time shift us, listen to us on your commute. Don't worry about it. Whichever way you get Computer America into your life, we appreciate. And speaking of appreciation, we also very much appreciate Natalia, of course, joining us. And everyone, once again, if you're just joining us, we have been speaking with Natalia Stelmakh. She is the founder and CEO of GotYu. These very, very cool, miniature GPS, fitness, wellness tracking. A lot, of course, in the pipeline, and a lot that you've already done. So I'm happy that you were able to join us here, Natalia. Now, as I said before the break, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about any kind of like notable examples of your tech, because as I mentioned on your website, you have a lot of testimonials. Do any of them really stand out to you as like, wow, this is something that can actually really make a difference in people's lives?
Yeah, we had a couple cases, actually it was an acquaintance, and it happened so that they bought a device for their grandma, and she had it in her pocket, and she fell on the floor at home, and she was still for some time, and the device beeped to our friend that she was still, and he returned home, and he was lucky to find her that, because if it wasn't there and she fainted and she was still for a longer time, nobody knows what happened. And of course we had more situations where the dogs would run away and the owners were able to trace the dogs, etc. So overall we are very excited with the devices that we are doing. We are now upgrading, taking them to the next level, doing the more advanced features on the app, etc. So, yeah, this is what our company is all about.
And of course, like I said, this is all very cool stuff. And I wanted you to run through, kind of what you already have to offer. And I'm looking through a couple of different price points. Talk about let's see, and we're going to throw this up here on the website where people can, of course, go there and check out your shop. But your website, you have Premium Safeguard, you have the Pet Valuable Tracker, Universal Pack, and a couple different sets. Run through the different price points you have.
Yes, so one is like the most demanded one is the one for the pets, which is $129, and now we are producing our next batch, so it should be available within like several weeks. So if you buy now, it will get shipped out in several weeks, and it trades for $129. This is our most demanded tracker.
I got you. And again, if people want to find out more, we are going to include a link at Computer America for GotYu Tech, GotYu.tech. But if people want to find out more or hear more about your stuff, where can they go?
They just go to our website and they have all our contacts. And then we also have a social media presence. We have a fun and colorful Instagram page, GotYu.tech. And but the website is the best way to reach out to us.
All right, perfect. And like I said, it's going to be in the show notes, everyone. So Natalia, any last words? And I got to say, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for taking the time, and really happy we were able to get you on.
Thank you so much for having us, Ben. And once again, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And please show some more love to your pets with these new devices that are coming to the market.
Very, very well said. So until next time, and hey, I really do hope that you think of Computer America when you have a full release of your next version of your product. Love to have you back on and talk about what's changed. And in the meantime, Natalia, happy Valentine's Day. And catch you here next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ben and everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. And everyone, there you go. So one last time, if you would like to hear more about that, GotYu.tech or computeramerica.com, much, much easier. And hey, there you go. So I'm really happy she was able to make it on. That was a very interesting interview. And GPS trackers, they're going to change a lot of the ways that we do things. And like, really, to me, the immediate sense is that if you've ever seen a sitcom or a television show or something like that, about pre-2007, 6, or even, let's say, pre-1999 or 2000, before cell phones really became popular, and before everyone had one in their pocket, a lot of sitcoms had to do with what the heck are they doing? Where the heck are they? What were they thinking? And the whole thing kind of falls apart when everyone has a phone in their pocket and they could just pick up the phone and just call them and see where the heck they are. I think the same thing is going to be true for, and I'm not saying that sitcoms are the only thing that matter, but rather, what's going to happen in a world where you know exactly where your friends, families, pets, objects, everything is. And that's where we're quickly heading. I know $129 seems like a decently steep price, but at the same time, consider that if your dog ever gets out, all you have to do, pull out your phone, turn on the chip, and next thing you know, bam, you know exactly where your dog is. You don't have to hope and wait and put up signs and call local animal rescues and shelters. No, you know exactly where they are and you can go get it. That is quickly approaching. And $129 today, hey, maybe in 5-10 years, it's going to come down to $10 and then less than that. It's just going to keep getting better and better and better. So again, thank you, GotYu, for coming on the show. And hey, that was a very interesting interview. Okay, everyone. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to computer and technology news. This is a segment that is dedicated to all of the latest and greatest, all of the latest and greatest tech. And there's a couple of stories I really wanted to get to, and some of them you may have heard. So if you have, I apologize. But I, of course, we wouldn't be Computer America if we didn't at least mention them in passing here on the show. So everyone, computer and technology news, and that is brought to you by Computer America. Here we go. we're feeling good. We're looking good. I think we're going to do a story that is actually a good thing. And looking through a lot of these, there's unfortunately there's a little bit of a, I guess positivity that doesn't really flow all that well. So here we go. We're going to start with this one. Tesla. You know them? They make cars, and they're pretty darn good at it. How good are they? Well, here should be your answer. Tesla. Well, and actually, I'm thinking of a different story. This is one even beyond that. The story that I'm actually thinking of, and we're not going to cover that one specifically, but the story I'm thinking of is that the Tesla Model 3 has highest satisfaction rate, even among cars like Porsche and some other car company. Like Teslas make good cars, and people are happy with them. And I think one reason that people can be happy with their Tesla is that they get better over time. What you buy is not what you end up with. And more to that fact, we're looking at a new feature. If you currently have a Tesla, then hey, you now have Sentry mode and dog mode updates to its electric vehicles. And we're going to explain what those are, but this comes to us from Engadget, Mr. Richard Lawler. And less than a month after Elon said Sentry mode for Teslas would be coming soon, the update has started to roll out, along with a couple of other tweaks. And in a blog post detailing Sentry mode, Tesla explains it's using the car's external cameras to watch for potential threats. Hence, Sentry. Like in times of military, you post a sentry. Yeah, except your car is now the sentry. And they said that if it's in standby, the cameras are watching, ready to go into alert state. If someone does something like leaning against the car, that pops up a message on its touchscreen saying that the cameras are recording. So obviously, too often cars are vandalized or something happens where you get that dent or that ding or that scratch. Think about let's say a grocery store parking lot and someone throws that cart into your car. Well, hey, maybe Sentry mode will at least let you catch the perpetrator on camera. If someone breaks a window or something, then it goes directly into alert mode, which then activates the alarm, plays music at a loud volume. So I guess you should probably have a playlist that you're going to play. I'm assuming that because it's Valentine's Day, Stop in the Name of Love, maybe. So there's a lot. So it plays music at a loud volume and turns up the brightness on the interior screen. It also sends an alert to the owner via the Tesla app if they're plugged in a formatted USB drive prior to enabling Sentry mode. Then it will save a recording of everything starting 10 minutes before the alert was triggered. This is very cool technology for a car. Like, a lot of this is pretty standard for things like home security and whatnot, but to have this in a car and do this in a software push, very, very impressive. Now, you'll have to turn on Sentry mode each time you want to use it. With its recordings, that's probably for the best by going into Safety and Security menu. And that, of course, you go in through the set. The next one. And so that was Sentry mode. It kind of keeps keeps everything safe. And actually, there's a neat little video here. We're going to play this. And if you're watching the video portion, we're going to go ahead and play that from Tesla. But now for pet owners, there's now a dog mode. For times when you have to leave a four-legged friend in the car alone, well, and they said, of course, that's providing this is allowed by local laws. Not only does it keep the cabin at a comfortable temperature, just tap the fan icon while parked and set the climate to DOG. And so set the climate to dog. It also displays the temperature on the car's internal screen, hopefully preventing any well-meaning Good Samaritans from breaking your windows unnecessarily. If the car's battery drops below 20% while in dog mode, then it will send a notification to your phone, i.e., hey, we're about to run out of battery. We don't want your dogs trapped in the car when it's low power. Come get your dogs, come get your car, charge them both up. Finally, the dash cam record feature that arrived last fall is also getting an upgrade that allows it to record feeds from the side cameras in addition to the narrow one mounted up front. So all that means that, it's pretty impressive what Teslas are starting to do. And if you don't own a Tesla, which I'm sure that there are so few of you that don't actually have a Tesla, but if you don't own a Tesla, don't worry about it. It seems like the longer you wait for a Tesla, the better a Tesla gets. So wanted to kind of highlight that and say that, this is really cool stuff. This is definitely very, very cool technology. Now, to the rest of them, and these may be a little bit disheartening. Okay, but we're going to do opportunity because it was the most recent, and we should probably just get it out of the way. I'm sure that you've heard this. This is from yesterday. Eric Berger, we're pulling the article from Ars Technica, but it was all over the news and everything. Opportunity. Yep, the Mars rover did not answer NASA's final call, and it's now lost to us, saying that it roved a staggering 45 kilometers, so about 20 miles across the red planet. And although there's a huge misconception, and we're not going to get too far into this, but think that, let's see, so Opportunity, it landed on Mars about 15 Earth years ago. And this was when, of course, George W. Bush was president. And since then, one misconception that was there was that its initial mission was, I think, nine months. And they said that, hey, this thing lasted 15 years. It was only supposed to be there for like 9 months or whatever the heck it was supposed to be. Turns out, no, that's not how it was supposed to go. It was supposed to last a lot longer. But at the same time, no one expected it to go 15 years. And somewhere around 2010, they said around 2010, the batteries were unable to keep it from certain components of it from freezing, and it was unable to really move. So it became a stationary, kind of science lab. And over the past 15 years, it's been sending us invaluable data, and it's outlived a number of its other Mars rovers. But Opportunity, the longest lived Mars rover, has now officially, I don't want to say pass away, because it's really not much more complicated than sending a laptop on wheels to Mars with a bunch of very, very cool sensors and things like that. But it did a good job, and I think it got a lot of people excited about Mars. Being able to see those landscapes and being able to see what it was doing. Well, it's I think if it had to go out, this is the best way it had to go out. So there you go. Of course, Spirit and Opportunity will be celebrated for their dog survival in the harsh conditions. And hey, who knows? Maybe one day humans will actually visit the locations where these things landed, maybe even collecting them and displaying them for future generations. So they will not be forgotten. We know where they are. We just have to go get them. But that involves sending people to Mars. We'll see what happens. There you go. There's that story. Now, let's get into some of the more interesting stories. And they have negative connotations, but we should probably still mention them. So this next one, we were unable to cover it yesterday because we had, of course, Sandy Berger on the show. The whole hour was dedicated to of course, to talking about ebooks and e-readers and things like that, which is great. Definitely go back and check out the interview. But at the same time, this is something that's a little disturbing. Google, them, joins Apple in probing Saudi app that lets men control where women travel as pressure piles on tech giants to kill the service. So kind of related to, of course, tracking, and today's interview has been all about I think keeping people safe and keeping pets safe. But there's the opposite side of that, and we've seen this from anything where if you put out a tool and a tool is meant to be used, or at least it's intended to be used in a certain way, but a tool, just like a shovel is meant to, let's say, plant a tree or something like that. But hey, put it in the hands of the wrong person, whack someone over the back of the head with it, it becomes a weapon. A shovel is a shovel is a shovel, regardless of how you intended to use it. People will always find another way to use it. Now, where does that come in? Well, turns out that Google has joined Apple in promising to investigate a Saudi app that lets men control women's travel, as pressure from rights groups and international lawmakers builds on tech giants. And I say this because, unfortunately, we've seen this from a lot of security-minded apps. Think home security and things like that let you monitor your house, ring doorbells and things like that. Unfortunately, people are using them to control people through what should be security. They're turning them into surveillance and monitoring solutions for, keeping people in abusive relationships and things like that. It's a very unsavory side of the technology, but it's a very prominent one, and it's one that should be kind of considered, because if something like this is happening, then hey, maybe like a master off button or something like that. So something needs to be done, and it's very cool to see Google and Apple both taking pledges to investigate. A Google spokesperson confirmed that the company is assessing the app to determine if it is in accordance with its policies. And by the way, that app, let's see. So Google will review the app. So let's see. So BI sister website Insider revealed details about Absher earlier this month. So I guess the app is called Absher, Absheer. Earlier this month, and published criticism from human rights groups, which triggered U.S. politicians to call on the tech giants to rethink the app. Of course, these apps, they are not published by Apple or Google. They're simply hosted on the store. But at the same time, hey, you got to apply pressure where you can. They said that Absher, and this is a quote from Vice Chair Catherine Clark, saying Absher is a patriarchal weapon. It allows Saudi men to track women, restrict their travel, and enable human rights violations. Let's see. So obviously the article goes on for a bit here, and I don't think we're going to go ahead and get into this, but some of the screenshots that they have, here really shows how it's a problem. So on the form, guardians can say where women can go, how long for, and which airports they can use. Obviously, restricting people's travels for no apparent reason. Just what do you think of it like parental controls, but instead of parental, because obviously you are responsible for your kids. Think about it controlling another person, another fully grown adult. Yeah, there's that one. So they also have another screenshot here from the app saying that page where guardians can cancel a woman's travel permissions and a list of permissions given by the guardian. Overall, overall, there you go. Don't want to get into the political side of this whatsoever. Just saying that technology, like any other tool, has the capability to be used for very nefarious ends, and yeah, that needs to be considered. That needs to be considered when these technologies are made available to people. So there you have it. Okay, there's that one. We don't have time for about two more articles here. Two more articles. Let's talk about, okay, how about this one? So maybe you felt a little ridiculous that it's become the cliche that you don't read the terms of service. That when you agree to use a service like iTunes or anything else out there, you really don't go sit down and read terms of service. And maybe you felt so guilty at some point that you said, you know what, I'm going to sit down and read one of these things. I've tried it. I couldn't make it more than 2 pages. It is the most boring dreck I have ever read. It is full of form letters, legalese. It is copy and pasted so many times that the terms are so general, so vague, that it really doesn't make sense. And if you've ever done that, well, don't worry. This article from Motherboard really highlights that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's okay. It's okay. Most online terms of service are incomprehensible to adults, and that is from a new study. This again from Dustin Patar, Motherboard, and saying that reading the terms and conditions of online consumer contracts requires, on average, more than 14 years of education. That's right. And I bet you a lot of that education had to become from law. So 2 law professors analyzed the sign-in terms and conditions of 500 popular U.S. websites, including Google and Facebook, and found that more than 99% of them were unreadable. That's right, 99%. So what is that? Maybe 495 out of 500 were unreadable, far exceeding the level most American adults read at, but are still enforced. Although, at the same time, I think there's been a lot of legal precedent that showed that terms of services are actually not really that enforceable in the court of law. But I digress. A new paper published in the Social Science Research Network, the average readability level of the agreements reviewed by the researchers were comparable to articles in academic journals, which makes sense because, hey, they're not really there to let you know what you're signing up for. They're there to protect the service that you're using from anything that you might try to do litigiously. Makes sense. Now, while consumers are legally expected or presumed to have read their contracts, businesses are not required to write readable ones. This asymmetry and its potential consequences puzzled us. That is from the co-author. Most of us accept the terms without reading the fine print, but with these relatively new types of contracts, known as sign-in wrap agreements, there is a danger in clicking agree without reading or understanding them. And, saying that they are regularly enforced. There we go. Of course, the one that comes to my mind is the whole South Park episode where I think it was Kyle, was just hit accept, or maybe it was Butters, hit accept without thinking, and he got in trouble for doing that. So. No one actually reads them. It's well known. And let's see. So take Fateja versus Facebook in 2012 court district case in which Facebook user alleged that his account was closed because of his religion and ethnicity. And what the claimant didn't know is because he didn't read the contract that Facebook has a clause that states any claim against the company must be resolved in Santa Clara County, California. And ultimately, the judge transferred the case, stating that the failure to read the contract before agreeing to its terms does not relieve a party of its obligations under the contract. Although, at the same time, like I mentioned, others have been fighting back against these things because judges are starting to realize that, even though, yes, it is a contract, it's not readable, and people really don't pay attention to it. So, there's that one. Don't worry if you don't do it, because I think these things are going to be a thing of the past. And by the way, too long didn't read TOS. I think, all right, so, and because of this article, I wanted to bring a service up that, whenever something like this comes up, I want to bring everyone's attention to it. If you're watching the video portion, you see it right there. Everyone, terms of service didn't read, or TOSDR.org. If you're ever unsure, please check out this website before you sign up for something. And what it does is it takes everything from, you can see here on the website, Google, YouTube, GitHub, SoundCloud, Trello, DuckDuckGo, 500px, and, so many more, websites that you may be using. And you can search, and they do a very good job that they, kind of show you the good, the bad, the ugly. Let's just take one at random here. Like, let's say DuckDuckGo, if you're really concerned about what their terms of service actually mean, no tracking. They say that very clearly, and then they say that the conditions may change, but your continued acceptance is not inferred from an earlier acceptance flow. So, everyone, hey. It's there are tools out there. You just need to know about it. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us here on Computer America. Again, thank you to our guest today. thank you for joining us here on the program as we talked all about trackers. If you missed any part of the interview that we had with with our guest, and actually I don't know how this slipped my mind so quickly. I like the song. So if you miss any part of our commercial, if you miss any part of our show here with GotYu, you can go back, check it out wherever podcasts are heard, or we have the video archive on YouTube or on our website along with the show notes. Everyone, thank you for tuning in here to Computer America. Until next time, have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.